Prime Minister Hun Sen made an effort to clarify his message, linking the You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Sen made an effort to clarify his message, linking the setbacks of Thai politician Pita Limjaroenrat to the failure of his own political opponents. His tweet from last night appears to have caused a stir among some Thai nationals, but the Prime Minister insists he is ready to respect their choice and work with whichever leader they choose. In a Twitter post this morning, the Prime Minister said that he has no intent of interfering in Thailand's internal affairs, but that Cambodian groups who use Pita's name for political gain saw their wishes dissolve like, quote, salt in water when the Thai MP did not receive enough parliamentary votes to become prime minister yesterday. Pita is the leader of the progressive Move Forward party that won the most votes in Thailand's general election on May 14th. Yesterday, he failed to win enough votes in the parliamentary confirmation. However, he says he will not surrender, and his party is already strategizing for the next vote, which is expected to be held next week. In a since-deleted tweet from July 13th, Prime Minister Hun Sen, the unnamed Cambodian, quote, extremist groups were using Pita's political gains as their own. He claimed to have heard in a foreign radio broadcast that his political opponents had plans to enter Cambodia through Thailand once Pita assumed his role as prime minister. The post received a lot of attention from Thai nationals, to which the PM responded, quote, Thai people commented in Thai language, which I could not understand, end quote. He emphasized that he respects the decisions of the Thai people and will work with whichever leader they appoint. However, he warned his opponents not to use political careers of others to further their agenda, which, quote, destroys their own nation, end quote. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The National Bank of Cambodia, or NBC, and Chinese company UnionPay International signed a memorandum of understanding on Monday to facilitate fast and easy payments internationally using a QR code. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
NBC Deputy Governor Chia Saray said that the transitional payment cooperation between Cambodia and China will boost the number of tourists between the two countries and promote both the Cambodian riel and the Chinese yuan. According to Chia Saray, Chinese tourists in Cambodia will be able to pay through KHQR anywhere QR codes are accepted in the country. Cambodian tourists to China will also be able to use the KHQR to pay through any QR connected via UnionPay, WeChat and Alipay. She said the important thing about Cambodian sellers need to have the KHQR to receive the riel, and those who want to spend easily in China also need to have the savings account in riel to make this transaction. This is a measure to improve the use of our riel. The NBC Deputy Governor confirmed the transitional payments between China and Cambodia will be operational by the end of this year or early 2024. Last month, the NBC made payments in Thai baht available to 1.5 million stores by QR code in Cambodia. The bank has plans to introduce QR payment options with Vietnam, Laos as well. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The National Fire Department released a report this week detailing the number of fire incidents in Cambodia in the first 6 months of 2023. The report recorded over 500 different fires and 41 deaths. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
Director of National Fire Prevention and Rescue Department, Net Vanta, said that Cambodia has experienced 516 fires so far this year, resulting in 41 deaths and 84 injuries. Of the record fires, 413 happened in residence and 57 in shops. Speaking at a training session on fire control on July 12th, he said that 76 fires were reported in Phnom Penh, 55 in Kandal, 39 in Kampot, 37 in Siem Reap, 35 in Takao and 1 in Kep. He confirmed that most cases were electrical fires at 40.25%. Net Vanta said that when compared to the same time last year, the country has seen 144 more cases of fire incidents. The first half of 2022 recorded 372 fires. He stressed the need for education on fire management and prevention, especially regarding the training firefighters and how to properly use equipment, provide first aid and evacuate victims. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Hun Sen ordered the Ministry of Labor and Phnom Penh Capital Administration to provide between 300 and 350 free buses to transport workers to their hometowns to ease the voting process and promote the general election on July 23rd. In an audio message posted to his Telegram yesterday, the Prime Minister said that providing buses for workers is not a bribe or an exchange for votes, but an effort to make voting fair and accessible to reduce traffic around Election Day. He said the number of buses will be proportionate to the number of workers from any given province. He wrote, quote, "I would like to make it clear that this transport is done without discrimination of any political party. It is not a bid for more votes. We will transport people of any political party without discrimination. We do not care who they are voting for," end quote. He added that the buses will depart from the provinces on July 22nd and will return workers on July 24th. The 7th National Assembly election will be held on July 23, 2023. To alleviate the stress of making it to the polls, the government has declared a workers' holiday from the day before until the day after the election, from July 22nd through 24th. Kristen Winters, EAC News. You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The Department of Technology Crimes, in cooperation with the Phnom Penh Municipal Police, arrested 3 suspects on July 9th for acting on behalf of illegal online loan companies and for threatening people for repayment. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the story.
After questioning, the 3 suspects confessed that they had worked as agents for an online lending company and that they had acted as lobbyists and borrowers for the lenders, threatening those who did not pay on time. The investigation found that the loan companies were unlicensed and did not seek permission from the National Bank of Cambodia. The department sent the 3 suspects to the Phnom Penh Municipal Court for legal action on the morning of July 11th and continue to search for ringleaders and accomplices in the scam. An agreement between the General Commissioner of the National Police and the National Bank of Cambodia was announced in January, which decided upon strict legal action against providers of legal loans and all forms of advertising relative to the provision of unauthorized financial services. The joint statement also advised people to avoid borrowing money from informal financial services providers without the permission of the National Bank and to help the relevant authorities to take legal action in a timely manner. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. A recent report recorded nearly 1,600 traffic accidents in the first 6 months of 2023, resulting in 756 deaths and 2,072 injuries, of which 1,332 were serious injuries. More than half of the accidents occurred at night. According to the report of the Traffic Police and Public Order Department of the National Police, the leading causes of accidents was speeding at 39%, followed by 25% for not respecting others' right-of-way, 4% for drunk driving, 3% for drowsiness, and 1% of accidents being weather-related. Among the fatalities, 81% were motorcyclists, and 73% of those were not wearing helmets. Most of the accidents occurred in Phnom Penh, followed by Sihanoukville and Pursat. When compared to the same time last year, traffic accidents are down 4%, while the number of fatalities is down 20%, and the number of injuries is down 7%. In the first half of 2022, there were 1,609 traffic accidents, resulting in 942 deaths and over 2,000 injuries. According to the report, 143 accidents occurred on the new Phnom Penh-Sihanoukville Expressway in the first half of the year, damaging 148 vehicles, killing 3 people, and injuring 44. Kristen Winters, EAC News. The Ministry of Labor and Vocational Training announced the launch of the 3rd Occupational Safety and Health Master Plan for 2023 to 27 yesterday under the chairmanship of Minister of Labor It Sam-Hang. The plan covers workers who produce textiles, garments, footwear, bags, and travel products, as well as industries such as agriculture and construction. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
President of the Union Federation of Labour Rights, Sam Soon, said that mainstreaming occupation safety and health in general education and vocational training programs can build a safer and healthier future for the next generation of skilled workers. Sam Soon stated that his union is committed to working with the Ministry of Labour and Vocational Training, the International Labour Organisation, and other partners to implement the latest Occupational Safety and Health Minister Plan. Tep Sopon, General Manager of the Cambodian Federation of Employees and Business Associations, stated that the new plan will address policies, priorities, and necessary measurements to continue to ensure occupational safety and health for workers. ILO National Coordinating Officer for Cambodia, Tun Supon, said that the implementation of improved occupational safety and health in the past has reduced work accidents, leading to increased productivity in factories. Minister It Samheng said that the plan involves 6 strategies and detailed action plans with specific, measurable and practical monitoring and evaluation mechanisms to increase cooperation efficiently in occupational safety and health for the benefit of employees and workers in all sectors, regardless of the company's economic value or size. In order for the plan to be successfully implemented, the minister recommended that all stakeholders continue to work together to prevent accidents in the work. He advised businesses owners to strengthen occupational safety and health management systems and to pay close attention to overheating in factories, fire safety, and the use of chemicals and steam systems. He noted it crucial for workers to have access to checkups with occupational therapists in order to see their new plan succeeded. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. The Council for the Development of Cambodia, or CDC, approved 113 investment projects in the first half of 2023, amounting to $1.1 billion being invested into the Cambodian market, with most of the capital coming from Chinese investors in the industrial sector. A report from the Council stated that the number of investment projects decreased by 15 projects year to year, while the investment capital saw a decline of $800 million, down from $1.9 billion in the same period last year. The approved investment projects created around 122,000 jobs for local people. Most of the investment went to industrial projects, with 102 out of the approved 113 projects in that sector. Additionally, 7 projects pertained to agriculture and agro-industry, 3 were in the tourism sector, and 1 was an infrastructure development project. Investors from China ranked first, accounting for 2/3 of the total investment capital, while domestic investment ranked second at nearly 20%. Vice President of the Cambodian Chamber of Commerce, Lim Heng, credited the nation's new investment laws, free trade agreements, and trade preferences for Cambodia's continued success in attracting investors. Kristen Winters, EAC News. In a show of international cooperation, Cambodia and Japan teamed up to help Ukraine with mine detection during a training session in Poland last week. The training comes at a vital time for Ukraine, who has been inundated with landmines and unexploded ordnance since the armed conflict with Russia began in 2014. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has more.
According to a press release from the Embassy of Japan in Phnom Penh on July 11, the training was held from July 3rd to the 7th in Poland and was constitution of the training program held in Cambodia early this year. The Cambodian Mine Action Center conducted sessions to provide the State of Emergency Service of Ukraine with training on equipment used to mine detection. The equipment used was developed in Japan and donated as part of Japan's ongoing support for the CMAC. According to Human Rights Watch, Ukraine is severely contaminated with landmines from the armed conflict that began in 2014. Use of landmines and explosive remnants of the war has greatly intensified with Russia's full-scale invasion beginning in February of last year. Landmines have been documented in 11 of Ukraine's 27 regions. Last week, US President Joe Biden confirmed his intent to send cluster bombs as part of the military aid package to Ukraine, furthering the risk of civilian casualties by unexploded weapons for decades to come. Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen and Japanese Prime Minister Kishida Fumio made a joint commitment on humanitarian mine action in Ukraine during the 2022 Asian Summits last November. Japan has pledged to continue its support for the CMAC's efforts, especially on the international stage. Anthony Ellis, EAC News.
You're watching EAC News. Thank you for joining us. Matt Dillon returned to Cambodia this week, 20 years after the release of his directorial debut, City of Ghosts, which was filmed in the Kingdom of Wonder. His diehard fans attended a private screening of the film on Saturday at Olympia's Legend Cinema, followed by a Q&A session. EAC News reporter Anthony Ellis has the details.
During Matt Dillon's return to Cambodia, he held a special meet and greet with his fans after a screening of City of Ghosts. The guests were treated by a Q&A session organised by the Cambodian International Film Festival, or CIF. Matt was this year's patron for the festival and spoke with nostalgia and excitement about the progress of Cambodian's film industry.
Cambodia is such a very special place to me. It's such a fertile ground for creativity. It's great to see that it's really developed into such a thriving film industry. And I really look forward to seeing these young filmmakers come up with in the future.
In an interview with EAC News, Matt Dillon expanded on the reasons for his visit. The main reason was being to recognise the life and talent of Kem Sravut, a first-time Khmer actor who had cast in one of the principal roles of the film.
And in many ways, it's a tribute to a gentleman that I worked with on the film, who was a dear friend, Sravut Kem, who was an actor who had never acted before, who I cast in one of the larger parts of the film, and unfortunately he passed away in November. And I thought it'd be a good time to come back and see some old friends.
Although Kem Sravut passed away late last year, his family attended the screening on his honour. His daughter Mei Lin said that she was very excited to present an event along with her family.
I'm very excited, yes, to be able to present here in this incredible event. And also my family, they are also excited.
She spoke highly of her father, who was proud of the work he had done and grateful for the experience.
Yes, he talked a lot and he liked to tell all the stories and experience to his friends, his fellow friends. And yes, he's quite very proud to be in the movie. I just know that he loved everything he has done.
Mei Lin said that she's very much enjoyed meeting Matt Dillon and reintroducing him to Cambodia. During his stay, Matt Dillon will be leading filmmaking masterclasses, sharing his experiences in the industry and reflecting on making the City of Ghosts. Cambodian International Film Festival was honoured to have Mr. Dillon as their patron and to hear his insights on filmmaking in Cambodia. The full interview with Matt Dillon can be seen on our website and other social media outlets. Anthony Ellis, EAC News. He's also been nominated for numerous of nominations for different awards. He's also known as in Something About Mary and something even closer to Cambodia, City of Ghosts. Our host today is Matt Dillon. Thank you, Matt Dillon. Thank you very much for joining us. And our guest, Matt Dillon, thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back here.
Patron of Cambodian Film Festival. How important is that for you?
Well, I mean, Cambodia is an important place for me. It's the film. I made my first film here, and they asked me to do that because it's been 20 years since the film was released, and so I was happy to do that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to come at the time, but I was discussing afterwards with John Perazzi, who was the cameraman on my film, and we talked about maybe coming and doing a screening. And in many ways, it's a tribute to a gentleman that I worked with on the film, who was a dear friend, Sravut Kem, who was an actor who had never acted before, who I cast in one of the larger parts of the film. And unfortunately, he passed away in November. And I thought it'd be a good time to come back and see some old friends. Yeah.
Difference from 20 years ago when you made the movie to now, there's been big great changes.
Well, I mean, things have changed dramatically here. A lot for the better, I think. I think the opportunities for the Khmer, the society, people have grown, and there is, a lot of development, and I think it's good. The thing that I'm more focused on here is, it's one of the reasons I'm here, is to kind of meet with filmmakers, young student filmmakers, actors and stuff. And the film industry has really, really expanded. And, I got to go out to the film office where Ritti Pan is very active, and great Cambodian filmmaker, and it was really great to see. And some of the folks that worked with me on City of Ghosts are now there, you know, and so I'm looking forward to that. You know, we're gonna have a screening of the film tonight, and there's gonna be a lot of people there. And it's always a nice time. But as I was saying, I just like to say, and it's beautiful to see the development, and at times a little bit concerning because I feel like it's a really tricky balance because there's a lot of beautiful things that really captured my imagination when I came to Cambodia, you know, almost 30 years ago for the first time, and you know, and it's great to see the development and the middle class sort of developing, which really is nice to see. However, I think they have to save. This is their city, their country, their culture, to save what's important and not throw out. And it's such a rich history, Cambodia. I mean, it's an incredible history, and to embrace and accept all of that as part of its history. And otherwise, there's always the danger that as the world is globalizing, and this is not a Cambodian issue by any means. This is a problem in the United States, in New York, and you know, and I'm always very advocating for saving a church that's going to be torn down, you know, because usually it's fine to develop and build, and it's great for the economy, and it's great for so many things, but there's no reason that you have to destroy something that is there. The two can coexist, preservation and development. So I think that's the one thing that I would suggest. I'm happy to see all the things that are going on and the changes. Yeah.
So you started, you wrote, directed City of Ghosts.
Yeah.
You picked Cambodia. How did you pick Cambodia and the surroundings?
Well, you know, it really was born in a way out of, you know, it's a fictional film. It's a part crime drama, and part of it's a drama. It's really a personal story about a guy who's going through some transition and changes, and it's got a father-son element to this story, and it made sense for here. I mean, it was sort of born out of my time here, and there was a basis of reality, even though it's fiction. There's a basis of reality of things that I drew from in my experience and from things that I witnessed and was aware of, and so it made sense. And there were times I had people would say, "Well, why don't you shoot it in? You could shoot it in Mexico City. You could shoot it in Acapulco." Yeah. And I said, "No, it's really Cambodian. It's a Cambodian story, and you know, it really reflects a period before I came here to make the film. It was sort of post-UNTAC, post when the United Nations was here and stuff, and it really reflected that period when there was still some instability. At that time, the Khmer Rouge was still somewhat active.
We'll come to our next question. To do a film in such an early stage of Cambodia's growth of coming out of Pol Pot, was there any sense of danger? Did you have any problems with the government? How was the surroundings of them safe?
Well, you know, there were challenges, as there are in any films, but especially working in a place where there wasn't the same infrastructure that we were used to experiencing. So there were logistic challenges. The casting was kind of amazing because a lot of the local Khmer actors were terrific. We used a lot of people that never acted before, and one of them was the guy who was probably the third largest part in the movie, Saravut Kem and Sra, and I met him, and he was a very charming, charismatic, dynamic person, and so I was able to do that. And so there were things that were refreshingly easy. People were excited about what was happening, and we didn't have too many, I mean, there were challenges. I mean, for example, we worked in Bokor, at the top of Bokor. And this was like, the roads had been washed away. So we had to rebuild roads and bridges. And we even did some landmine clearance up there that needed to be done at the time. Although they didn't find any landmines, but there was some concern that there were. And so we had a very good production, I have to say, and that we had a very good production. So they really were good with the logistics of it all. But those were the big challenges. I think on the creative side, it was very rewarding, making the film.
And so leading to our next question is City of Ghosts, filmed 21 years ago. Could it be filmed here in Cambodia now? Forget about logistics, forget about story-wise and everything.
I feel like the story that, like I said, there were some classic elements to it, so I think it's kind of universal. Because it's a story about people. I mean, I think that's ultimately what's important for me, are characters and people. And so I think thematically, there's a lot of things that are universal, that are pertinent, today. I mean, in many ways, you could tell a similar story in a lot of places. You don't have to. And sure, it could be made today, although there are elements in the story that reflect a certain socio-political period of time. Like I said, it was a time when it really reflected a time that was when there was some instability, and it's in the story where he talks about it, the danger of being out on the roads at night because of the activity that was going on. There were more guns readily available. I think that's changed a lot. Fortunately, I wish that would happen in the United States, but unfortunately, it's not happening. And so there was a little bit more instability at the time, but there was also something very magical about the place in terms of there was still a kind of it was kind of going through a rebirth in a way.
More rawness, where the people.
There was a rawness, and it really lent itself to cinema.
Yeah.
Because when you're telling storytelling, you need tension, you need conflict, and this was an interesting, paradoxical world that we were in, one of spirituality, but one of there were elements of there were criminal elements here at one time that maybe, I'm sure they're everywhere in the world. So, but it is a crime drama. Ultimately, yes, it's a. The films that I watched when I was making and preparing this film that inspired me were films by, for example, The Third Man, it's one of the greatest films ever made, in my opinion, by Carol Reed. It was a Graham Greene story. And also I thought of Lord Jim, and there was a film called Outcast of the Island. And of course, all the films by Sam Fuller, which were these kind of, House of Bamboo was a film that we watched. And I always liked the idea of telling a story in an authentic way, but also a story with a 3-act structure, kind of beginning, middle, and end. And and that's why I think it is a story that's still universal. I certainly hope it holds up. Good thing is we don't have any of those giant cell phones that, you see a movie made a long time ago. This movie's not that old, But sometimes you see an old movie and the technology makes you feel like, when was this movie made, You see somebody whips out a cell phone and it's as big as a goddamn coconut. It's like the size of a durian fruit,
Yeah. Have you tried durian?
No. But there's a really funny bit in the movie where, this is East meets West thing, where the character of Silk comes out of the market with the durian fruit, and the character I played, Jimmy, smells it and he says, "What's that?" He goes, "It's durian. It's delicious." I said, "That's great. Do you mind if we put it in the trunk?" Because of the smell. And I remember at the time back then, I don't know if it's still the case, and I know it's such a popular dish in Cambodia, but I remember there would be signs in hotels with the durian fruit with the slash going through it.
Still around to this day.
Yeah, I know it's popular food.
It's a wonderful fruit. I quite enjoy it, but it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. I remember the watermelon juice. Drinking the watermelon juices were good here.
So we'll come back to the food. How did you adapt? I mean, 20 years ago, you didn't have the Western food as we do today.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things that the producer was nervous about was if you don't have the right caterer and everybody gets sick, it's a problem. And this is something that's always a danger. So the food that we were being served on the set was pretty bland. However, we all loved the Khmer food, Khmer Chinese food. There was good Vietnamese food, that was very good food. And the only people that got sick were the people in the production office eating local Western food. But nobody got sick eating the Khmer food. It was the Western food people got sick from.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the movie. I've seen the movie. It's a fantastic movie. I quite enjoyed it.
Thank you.
The hotel you stayed in, the infrastructure, there was nothing. Have you gone back and visited that area?
Yeah, we did. We did. And it's nice to see the building's still saved. There's nothing left from the film.
Yeah.
I met the owner. He's a super nice guy. It's a good French restaurant. But, there was hotels like that. I remember there were like $3 a night, some with the air conditioning. Not everything's working. This is real,
Yeah.
And there were people, I remember speaking to David Chandler, the historian, and he said, oh, yeah, back in the, pre-war Vietnam War era, these were all the bars around here, and Corsican guys owned restaurants and bars, and there was this kind of, and it was funny because I didn't know that. And then this Gerard Depardieu's character is this Corsican kind of bar owner, and so it was. I'm glad to see that some things are still being saved. Hey, you can't change. I mean, there's progression happens in the world, but it's nice to see that because this is what makes Phnom Penh different than all the other, big Asian cities. I mean, once it becomes like that, it's it loses that distinctive flavor, right?
Yeah.
And what's beautiful here is you can still see it's very green. It's still a very green city. You hope that it stays that way,
I think in the future they're looking to stay there. I've been coming for 23 years, and when you made that movie, and lived here for nearly 8 years, so I've seen a lot of changes. It is great for the future, but it's still got that French colony with you at that hotel. It's got still a beautiful architecture on that.
Yeah, and I mean, when I came here in 1992, and I went around, I had a Ciclo driver take me around, and I was really, it was very magical, the mix of different architectures, different periods. You have obviously you had all the Angkor stuff, but then you had this beautiful Buddhist Theravada Wats and temples with the old French colonial buildings that were in disrepair but still beautiful.
Yeah.
And it gave it a kind of magic, especially, and then with the people who were so distinctive and very, very charming, and culture was still alive. No matter what happened in the tragic past, they couldn't eradicate that. They couldn't take that. You couldn't change that, It was still distinctively here.
Over 50 movies nominated for many, many awards and everything else. How special was this movie to you and everything?
Well, the process of it was what was really the best part. And I know that I felt good that it was a film that really affected people, many people who worked on the film. American, from other countries and Cambodia. And I'm very happy about that. So the process of making it was the highlight. That's the reward. The reward is what you get from making it. And of course, when the film came out, we had a very good response. We played in a lot of festivals, and it had a good release. I mean, there were things about it that were challenges there. So I mean, if we look at life as a series of obstacles that we have to sort of negotiate, right? It was like everything else in that way, and that keeps things interesting. And this was a very interesting journey making this film.
Future. Have you got any plans of coming back to making it?
I would love to. I don't have any specific plans right now, but I very much would like to come back here and work. I had a great experience. It's one of the best. Let me say that it was one of the highlights of my career, was working on this film here. And so of course I would want to come back and do something here again. It's just about finding the script. for me, the whole key is always characters.
Yeah.
It's the most important thing is that you have characters that resonate. They don't have to be necessarily likable, but they have to be engaging, and that's important. Have good, strong characters, and then they tell the story.
Well, in this particular movie, you had to have special characters because it's kind of a mystery saying, you're looking for your father figure. He's there, he's not there, he's dead. So much happened. So how did you choose which actors that you actually? I mean, also to convince.
Well, the biggest challenging was getting local actors here because a lot of the local actors in Cambodia were working in the Royal Theatre and they were working in a very stylized kind of way. And so we'd have this, it would be very funny. I'd try to cast somebody and they would do something that was like Khmer theater, it's very theatrical and it didn't fit with the film that we were doing. So it was better to find non-actors. But I do believe that everybody is capable of performing because we do every day in our lives, We all do, And so, and I wanted to convey that to local the people that worked on the film. I didn't want to teach them to become, I'm not trying to take them to acting school. I'm trying to make them believable and real. And so I was fortunate and I got a very interesting group of non-actors. And there was one actor in particular who was an actor. Who was an actor before the Khmer Rouge, and his name was Loto, and he passed away, and he was great. He was the best actor I could find, and he was colorful, about this tall. He was like really great, and he was he had real command, And then to the casting of the other characters, I didn't want to ever compromise, and for example, Gerard Depardieu was somebody I'd been thinking of throughout the whole while I was preparing the film, and James Caan. And I was able to get a cast that was, even greater than I thought I would be able to get. And I think that is really the condition of, as the characters develop and become richer, then actors want good roles,
The most memorable part about Cambodia during this film?
Well, I'd say that the most memorable thing is that we had a chicken in the camera truck that raised havoc. And one of the guys in the camera department was the Cambodian guy who's now running the whole Cambodian film office, and we were joking about that. Yeah. But no, it was fun. It was really great. It was a real international mix of folks. But I always say there was before Bokor and after Bokor, because Bokor was the most challenging thing at that time to work up on that hill in that fog and those conditions. And it really was
really cold too.
It wasn't cold when we were there. It was just foggy. Yeah. And at certain points we couldn't see our hand in front of our face, so it was hard to shoot. But it just, watching, certain things and being there, it was such a lively atmosphere, and the neighborhoods were very, it was interesting. People were, eager to be a part of the film in any capacity. So I'd see somebody and I'd think, oh, this guy's great. Let's put him in the scene, and we'd have somebody come in and out of the scene. They were happy to do that.
How have the Cambodians welcomed you then and now?
Very welcoming, very Cambodian. I found to be incredibly, generous in spirit. And when I had written the script, the character of Sra, that started with Kem or Sra, played Salt, was, in the end, he was a clever but, duplicitous character who he ends up. So all these criminals, he ends up outsmarting all of them and getting the money. And when I was here, I looked around and I said, in some of the places I was in, that's not true to who this guy would be. This guy is a guy who has nothing, but he's generous in spirit because he's a Buddhist. And I thought that's, it just naturally happened that way.
Finally, last words, because Cambodia has grown with the film industry there. I mean, SIF has been around for 12 years now. what can you inspire people who want to get into acting? Well, not even just acting, directing, writing.
You mean masochists? You mean people who are gluttons for punishment?
Yeah.
I think just really focus on the creative potential of things, focus on storytelling, and and don't worry about the cash and prizes because they may or may not come. So and go to school. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Develop a curiosity. And when I say keep an open mind, if you're an actor, but then you find that maybe I'm a better writer than I am an actor, or you might find that there's another, because there's so many different departments of creativity that you can go to.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. People just think, okay, movies, actors, that's it. I think they understand the back part, like I said. You've got the directors, you've got the editors and everything else that puts all this together to make people who they are. So it's just see if you can write and see what suits you, because acting mightn't suit you, but writing might. And you should not look down to that and just continue what your dream will be.
Yeah, I mean, I think creative processes are often interchangeable in many ways.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Pleasure.
Enjoy the rest of your trip.
Okay,
thanks.
all right.
Thanks. We'll go now.
The Daily Roundup premieres every night at 8 p.m. on the EAC News channel. But the Newsday starts a full 12 hours earlier. EAC News' passionate team of reporters, writers, cameramen, and video editors are hard at work around the clock, bringing you world-class reports on everything from local and regional news to the latest international stories and the most dramatic footage from around the world. It takes meetings, research, phone calls and emails. And that's before we even get out of the newsroom and into the field, shooting interviews and those pieces to camera. Not to mention into makeup and onto the set. The Daily Roundup, Cambodia's most comprehensive English language news show, premiering every night on the EAC News channel. Join us and subscribe. We wouldn't want you to miss a thing. The Daily Roundup with me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and only on the EAC News channel. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
តើលោកអ្នកចិត្តរៀបអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍មែនទេហើយពិបាករកក្រុមហ៊ុនថតវីដេអូផ្សាយផ្ទាល់ដែលមានគុណភាពមែនទេអស់កង្វល់រ៉ាទីកាជាក្រុមហ៊ុនទទួលស្គាល់លំដាប់អន្តរជាតិលើសេវាកម្មថតផ្សាយផ្ទាល់គ្រប់កម្មវិធីកម្រិត 4K ដំបូងបង្អស់នៅកម្ពុជារ៉ាទីកាប្រើប្រាស់ឧបករណ៍ទំនើបម៉ាកល្បីៗធានាគុណភាពការផលិតតាមបច្ចេកវិទ្យាទាន់សម័យរ៉ាទីកានឹងជួយធ្វើឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអស្ចារ្យលោកអ្នកនឹងបានឃើញរាល់សកម្មភាពក្នុងពិធីទៅលើកញ្ចក់ទូរទស្សន៍ទំហំធំកម្រិត 4K និងការបញ្ចាំងលើផ្ទាំងក្រណាត់សព្រមទាំង LED ដែលមានរូបភាពច្បាស់ត្រជាក់ភ្នែកសូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ012 823 848 017 838 889 និង016 823 848 រ៉ាហ្វិកាទំនុកចិត្តការទទួលខុសត្រូវនិងគុណភាពខ្ពស់រ៉ាធីកា Entertainment ក្រុមតន្ត្រីអាជីពកំសាន្តបែបស្រាលពីរោះមិនថ្លង់ភ្ញៀវរំភើបចិត្តពិធីរឹតតែអស្ចារ្យ Relax រ៉ាធីកា Entertainment ញ៉ាំងឲ្យកម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកកាន់តែមានភាពអធិកអធម រាធិការ Entertainment ក្រុមតន្ត្រីដ៏ល្អសម្រាប់ក្រុមគ្រួសារលោកអ្នកសូមអញ្ជើញកក់ពីឥឡូវនេះសម្រាប់កម្មវិធីលោកអ្នកតាមរយៈលេខទូរស័ព្ទ017 838 889 012 823 848 និង016 823 848
EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the daily roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear.
Cheyo គណៈបកប្រជាជនកម្ពុជានៅរុងរឿងគណៈបកប្រជាជនកម្ពុជាការពារនិងលើកស្ទួយផលប្រយោជន៍របស់ប្រជាជន1ថែរក្សាការពារសន្តិភាពសន្តិសុខសណ្ដាប់ធ្នាប់និងសុវត្ថិភាពសង្គមដើម្បីធានាភាពសុខសាន្តរបស់ប្រជាជននិងការអភិវឌ្ឍប្រទេសជាតិ2ផ្ដល់សេវាសាធារណៈជូនប្រជាពលរដ្ឋប្រកបដោយតម្លាភាពងាយស្រួលនិងជឿទុកចិត្តបន្តអនុវត្តការមិនយកកម្រៃសេវាលើការចុះបញ្ជីកំណើតបញ្ជីអាពាហ៍ពិពាហ៍បញ្ជីមរណភាពការផ្ដល់សៀវភៅស្នាក់នៅសៀវភៅគ្រួសារនិងអត្តសញ្ញាណប័ណ្ណសញ្ជាតិខ្មែរ3បន្តមិនយកពន្ធលើដីកសិកម្ម